Hello there. What's going on, everybody? It's Mando Chat. We're going to be talking all about The Mandalorian, which is back with Season 2. Hopefully you've had time to watch it. Now, before I get into introducing our guests, I want to caveat everything you're about to see with, if you haven't seen the episode, we are going to talk spoilers. We're going to talk everything about the episode, all the Easter eggs, all the cool stuff, all, the fact that the Mando dies right at the beginning. We're going to talk all... Wait, no, I'm kidding. We're going to talk all about that stuff. So, and this is a live chat, so if you are in the chat, we'll try to interact with you a little bit. And, yes, so with all that being said, we are joined by Faith and Ted from All Fighters Follow Me. How are you all doing today?
Doing great. How are you
doing? Really good.
Oh, good. I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. It was a great episode. I'm excited to talk with you guys about it. What did you guys think of the episode? And also tell us a little bit about your... Well, let's do this. Before you tell us about the episode, tell all the viewers about your podcast and where they can find it. Also, by the way, it's linked down in the description below.
We host a podcast for Star Wars Armada, which is a naval strategy or tabletop game for Star Wars.
Which you hopefully know what it is if you watch this channel.
Hopefully.
I'd say most people have heard me talk about it at least a little bit.
Yeah.
We talk about gameplay, some of our favorite ships, cards, strategies, and fleet builds. Sometimes we have guests on from the Armada community. We've even had guests from Fantasy Flight Games that produces the game.
Yeah.
And
we've only had a couple out-of-state guests on so far, but we're trying to work on that a little bit more and get more less Hoth-esque views on the game.
Yeah.
And you're one of the few podcasts I've seen that are like husband-wife kind of teams, whereas a lot of times it's it's usually predominantly all male in the community, so that's actually kind of refreshing. So to hear a female's point of view on certain things, as well as a couple's point of view on like how you approach the game, and so who's going to be playing, who's going to get to play the Empire this time, or something like that.
Oh, that's simple. I'm always Rebels, and he's always some sort of filthy Imperial.
Are you guys?
It's okay.
Are you guys excited about the Clone Wars? Are you guys excited about the Clone Wars coming?
Yeah, very much so. I think the freshening up that the game is going to get from having two brand new factions for the first time added in,
right,
is just such a huge deal. And I know I'm really excited as community builders, as like podcasters, but also I'm a TO. I judged the last primes in the Twin Cities here, and like a couple like store champs and stuff like that. Having something to draw new players in as big as Clone Wars is a huge deal to me. I'm so excited. Like, if you're looking forward to Clone Wars, I am, as a member of the growing community who likes to grow the community.
Yeah.
Please jump in. Armada is a great game, and we really look forward to having you.
Yeah,
and one of the fun things about Armada is that it's always evolving. There's always new combinations of ships and strategies that kind of come and go with the seasons. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of developments there are with Clone Wars, because you're going to see I don't anticipate the separatist fleet to fly exactly the same as an Imperial fleet or a Rebel. There's going to be the differences, and I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Yeah, I think when you had Mike Gurns on the other day, he made some points about very specifically, because I watched that episode.
Some of the play styles of the factions,
yeah,
right?
the play styles are very different.
Right. Yeah, no, I like that, and I also like that these all the upgrade cards and every different ship variant and title has more time to grow and develop because of Armada's slower release schedule. Whereas a games like X-Wing or Legion, you get stuff. Maybe X-Wing not as much recently, but for a while you were getting new product every month, and so you barely got to, if you're not playing all the time, you might only play with a ship a single time before a whole new wave comes out. And that's not the case with Armada. Although that is kind of the case with me with Wave 8 because of COVID happening and some stuff I barely got to use. But that's a sad story for a sad.
As for being a couple that plays the game together, we're both huge Star Wars fans. So it was something that we wanted to do kind of as a couple for fun.
Yeah.
That we kind of got into together. So.
Yep. And then eventually we just played it on like the kitchen table for a while, and then eventually got into our local community and joined in on that. So kind of built into there. So and then after a while, we're just like, you know what, we could just talk about this on the internet. Maybe people will listen, maybe they won't. And
absolutely. Now, some people are in chat are asking, do you guys have a YouTube channel? You just have the podcast that's on Podbean right now, and it's All Fighters Follow Me. There's a link for it. I put a link in the video description, so if you want to click that See More button right below the video, you'll find it there. If not, you can just remember to search for All Fighters Follow Me. You'll see that there. And for those asking, this is apple juice. That's exactly what I'm drinking. It's exactly apple juice, 100%. So you mentioned that you're both Star Wars fans. What do you guys think of this episode?
Love. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Well, anytime a Mandalorian episode drops, it gives me exactly what I want. And this gave me exactly what I want, which is cowboys and Indians and giant monster fights.
Oh yes, it was great. So spoilers are going to start from here on out, everybody. By the way, so we're gonna do this. So chapter 9, and it's kind of cool that, like, I don't know what I labeled this episode season 2 episode 1, but it's also often called episode 9, and which are both technically correct. But yeah. So
I was surprised that they just kept on going with the chapters like that, with just keeping it fluid.
It really does.
They do that with like The Good Place or
other
TV shows
I don't
where
watch
they just
that much TV.
I don't watch much either, but I when I do, I definitely make it count, like this show. And I like that it felt like from the very beginning, like they didn't skip a beat, like almost like they never, like production never even stopped, like they just kept going, almost, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It jumped right back into it.
I suppose one thing for folks jumping in, like on the podcast, I go by Ted, but if you're on like the Discord or the forums or anything, I go by Alzer.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
you've probably and if you guys are in my Discord at all, you've probably seen Ted or Alzer post in there. As a matter of fact, I was actually talking about Mando chat the other day when we decided to do this. So
I can just jump on that.
Yeah. So chapter 9, the Marshal. First thing is, I want to ask you guys: do you guys read any of the books? Did you guys read Aftermath?
Yes.
Before seeing this at all? Because there's a popular character from that book that showed up here. Yeah.
Just for a little.
Yeah, and that's who the title alludes to. The Marshal is, Cobb Vanth, who we're going to talk about when we get there. But it opens when we're on one of the. Now, this is one of the cities that we saw in the trailer, and this dark city. I don't think they said what planet this is. It could be kind of anyway. It might be like Nal Hutta or Nar Shaddaa or something like that. I mean, it could be.
I could almost see Nar Shaddaa, except it's kind of low populous, it seems like, for Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually Star Wars locations, like Star Wars planets, tend to be like one city everywhere. For the most part. I mean, even on
like
Tatooine.
A Midwestern state.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like a rundown. My guess is it's probably somewhere in Hutt space or close to Hutt space, but maybe a moon or some kind of lesser known place. But ultimately, not important enough to warrant a name just yet. But we see Mando kind of walking. There's a lot of graffiti on the walls, too, that I noticed. Did you guys notice any of this graffiti?
I loved this so much because you can tell looking at it, it's obviously some sort of, anti-empire street graffiti. And I love those little world-building touches that this show gives us. Oh, like, what do the populace think?
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of this stuff, it's like a cross between stormtroopers and even like Darth Vader, or maybe not Darth Vader. Like they didn't get his likeness right because they probably didn't see him very much, and it's like it makes me think: was it rumors, or were there other creatures? Or I even thought that maybe some of these were kind of close to like dark troopers, or things like that.
I was gonna say I feel like any dissidents who experienced Darth Vader didn't live to make graffiti about it.
That is fair. I mean, you unless they were maybe old Imperials who were like retired or something like that, but how many Imperials really did their jobs up to the standard? Like, I think Veers is the only one
Yeah, who survived any length of time.
Yeah, I think Veers.
We good.
Oh no, he was amazing. Yeah, Veers is pretty good. Go ahead.
I feel like this is also a good throwback to Sabine Wren in Rebels, who is known to be a graffiti artist too. And Dave Filoni works on the show, or is one of the directors and producers for the show. So I feel like this was almost kind of a fun nod to her too.
That's a really good point, and it could be, and even if not directly, it's at least setting the stage for, hey, get used to us showing you graffiti in the local art, because keep a keen eye for graffiti, because the next time you see it, you might find some more recognizable color schemes, for example, right?
That's always fun. Next thing we need to do is break it down and break down the Arabesh of it and translate it and see what all the graffiti says.
Yes.
I will admit I did not go that far.
I was here.
Yeah, my Arabesh is awful.
It would honestly, if you looked at it, it's probably something cool like I bet you. My guess is if anybody watching, if you want to translate all of this stuff, it's probably some kind of Dave Filoni-ism about like wolf power or something like that. That's my guess. Is it something that Dave would have thought of?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of like we have some collections of like Star Wars inspired art around the house, so I would love.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and even like just the concept art too. Like you got to wonder if like they're working on the set and like maybe some of the people who work on it, they just say, hey, everybody, work on a wall. We need some graffiti and stuff, and like like that. I bet you there's a whole story behind just the walls in this scene.
I mean, we've already spent like at least 5 minutes talking about the graffiti.
Absolutely, I can go slower or faster for a lot of these, but yes. So he gets to and he's walking with the child. I think the Mando's got a little bit of some new digs on him, but we'll talk a little more about that when we get some better screenshots, because I think he's got like a new sash now and some I think he's upgraded his uniform a little bit.
He got toys.
Yeah, of course. You gotta keep upgrading, right? He got a big payday. But now he's going to see Gor Koresh, and we get this awesome Twi'lek right here at the like deep voice, right? Like
that's actually pretty close to I think how that actor sounds.
I tried. It hurts. It hurts to do it too much. But like I it's rare to be so impressed by somebody's voice in Star Wars. Usually you're impressed by their visual or their acrobatics, but yeah, impressive voice. He goes in. We kind of get that scene from the trailer of the Gamorians fighting, and we see a whole lot more of it. And they're using. I couldn't make out if this was just like vibroaxes clashing with each other, or if they had personal force fields. And I
think it's just vibroaxes clashing against each other, because during the fight, it didn't look like they had any kind of shield.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you watch a couple of them where it looks like they get like a head-on hit with those axes, like straight onto like the shoulder or the chest. And the vibro axe would lop an arm right off.
So it could be, yeah. I think there's a chance they could have like I know like Sabine had at least in Star Wars Legion, like she has a limited personal force field. I know that's something that does exist, and that could be part of this, which really makes me kind of. I'm gonna do a throwback here to hoping that with all this fighting, we see like a Masters of Terras Kasi game, like PlayStation used to have.
Game. Yeah,
I mean, and the more of this, the more fighting they canonize, and the more like, everybody starts with a limited shield. Now you have 2 health bars, right? You have your shield bar and your health bar, and the guy's shield bar might have been running low during this fight.
Yeah, I was so excited when they mentioned Terras Kasi and Solo. I was like, I played that game. I played so much of that game.
It also exists in the RPG for anybody who plays the Star Wars RPG. It's I actually played a Jedi that used Terras Kasi, and it's a little bit overpowered, because you can actually use like fireball. You can like shoot Hadoukens basically in that, which is really nice if you get disarmed or whatever. You're like, I don't need a lightsaber. I can kill you from here.
But this, I love the throwback of the Gamorians.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the tweets of the concept art, and they're like, we're bringing back Gamorians.
I remember that was one of the first things I think Dave Filoni or it was either Dave or it was one of the showrunners that tweeted a Gamorrean concept art very early on, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, season 2 is coming.
Exactly. So this was pretty nice. I liked the fight scene. There was also a scene right here, like as they're coming in too. They really do a close up on John Favreau. Thank you from the chat, John Favreau. Baby Yoda like is really watching. Like you see him, and this happened a couple of times last season. But I think it's going to be a theme, and I think they're going somewhere with this, where Baby Yoda's really, or the child, but I mean, we all know who we're talking about, where he's looking at this fighting. And his eyes kind of go wide, and he's really absorbing. Like, he is being exposed to a lot of violence.
I kept expecting Baby Yoda to intervene.
Or something. Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, he is picking up bad habits, and he's going to, like, pick up a Gamorian.
Like you saw a couple of times in season 1, right? Where he saved him, or he force choked Cara Dune, where you saw, like, some of the consequences of exposing a child to this lifestyle. I feel like while episode 1 wrapped up most of its plot points, I feel like that might have been kind of like on the down low, like a subtle plot point, maybe for season 3 or 4. You never know, but I can see that happening. So we moving forward, we see the Mandalorian sit down next to Gor Koresh, who is very much kind of like a stereotypical Italian mobster guy. And, yeah, and this is and we have like a classic kind of trope of at the fights and a little bit of back and forth with these guys, and this much was kind of cool. A lot of this was from the trailer though, and I'm kind of glad that so much of what they showed from the trailer we get out of the way like right away.
Oh yeah, I think they actually kind of did that too with the first season, where there were a lot of things that we did not see.
Mm-hmm. I go back to like Star Wars Rebels, and I used to get so annoyed that like in their trailers they would show you stuff from every single episode.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to pace it out.
They would they showed a lot of stuff. Like I remember they showed Darth Maul in like the season 3 mid-season trailer, and he wasn't until the very very last episode, and that was the big reveal. And I'm like, why would you spoil your biggest secret that's in your pocket? 6 months early, and so like they're really holding their cards closer to their chest here, and
which I appreciate a lot. I know, I really like to, and this happens with me for Armada too. Like when people get like the spoilers and they show all the product beforehand, or if a movie shows all the good scenes and like the previews or the show. Oh, yeah. I like to open my new toy and get new things in it.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes.
That happened to me once in Armada, and I think it happens to a lot of people when they get into this game, maybe 1 or 2 times tops, and usually that's in the very beginning before they know what everything does, or the rare case that they release something without spoiling it all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just kind of hard sometimes.
For me, it was the Wave 7 with the Chimera and the Profundity, because for some reason I got sent those like 3 months early. And before they had even put out articles for them. So I had like these really early unboxing. I think somebody made a mistake or something, but I was just like, all right, I will happily do this. And, that was a very, very happy day. Yeah. So we got a couple of aliens, too. A lot of alien cameos in here.
Oh, yeah. I love a good just alien cantina social scene.
Yeah, they definitely gave us this.
Bread and butter for me.
This guy actually reminds me a little bit of Constable Zuvio. I wonder if he's like a dude from Jakku who happened to be out here.
It could be it.
It could be. It's like maybe close enough. Jakku adjacent.
Could be a major city on Jakku.
It could be, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh! What if they were on Jakku? No.
That'd be kind of interesting.
That would be really, especially with like everything else. I feel like.
Because, I mean, Rey was living in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Nima Outpost.
On an outpost.
There was a hut, though. Nima the Hut was out that way, so... But, I mean, if a hut's running it, then that could explain why there's some Gamorians and some, crime fighting and
Some syndicates going on.
Yeah, where you have huts, you're going to have Gamorreans and Twi'leks and Rodians.
That just makes sense, right? Like, that's the established canon. They're all friends, and they're like, welcome. Come.
Friends is a loose term.
Friend adjacent.
Subjects.
Yeah, exactly. They're affiliates. They have the affiliate code. Use code JABA15. You know. So eventually, you know, it turns out to be a setup, and like we all expected. Again, this was kind of something that was shown. And by the way, all of this is like the first 5 minutes before. We've talked about it for twice as long as it actually took to air.
At least.
Yeah. They turn on him. He's just like, no problem. And he's so cool about it. And I love that.
It really captures
This is his Tuesday.
It really captures that classic, like, Boba Fett book and comic, like, 90s era, like, Mandalorian armor kind of Boba Fett stuff. Which I think is a lot of what they brought into The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's
of that just, like, completely unflappable, like, I like those odds.
Oh, yeah. They did that really well in the first season. Like, you know, he was already a badass before he had the Beskar. Yeah. And it just makes him that much better. And we get a whole fight scene from it too, which is awesome. And the fight scene is good, and it shows him using the armor. My favorite part. Again? Oh, the whistling birds, absolutely. It's beautiful, and
those are his.
Oh no, it was definitely a highlight there. It's hard to capture a screenshot because it happens so fast. But no, we get a great fight scene. He's using the armor. He's using it more to his advantage. Like, somebody hits him, and he goes back into the guy behind him, and he's letting people hit him in the Beskar because it's absorbing the impact. It's hurting them. So there's a lot of it happens so quick, but there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I remember specifically, like, really getting hyped about one point where one of the guards punches him, and he, like, headbutts the guy's fist as he's punching. Because he's like, I'm wearing a Beskar helmet. You have knuckles. They have bones.
Yeah.
I win.
I'm echelons above you. You're trying to punch way above your weight class. And of course the Gamorian that was losing, you know, and then the gangster shoots, you know, the guy who was about to finish him. The Gamorrean gets up, and he's just like, well, I better get in on this. And he jumps and totally misses. And I love that. Like, it adds to maybe the chaos and realism that can happen during a fight, but it also is, like, in true Star Wars fashion, there's just enough comic relief to kind of lighten the mood a hair. You know, kind of like reminds me of something Han Solo would say in the middle of a fight scene. Right? Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of comedy. Not quite Poe Dameron level comedy, but more like Han Solo level comedy, right? You know.
Yeah, I'd say. Well, it makes more sense to be Han Solo level because it's
it's a little closer to the original trilogy, and it's this one's kind of doing a lot more fan service to the older, experienced fans, and so it's more trying to be more that grit as opposed to, you know, more aligned with the sequel trilogy. But no. Real good scene, and in just like in season 1, episode 1, we get that classic takedown of, you know, kind of tying up somebody by the ankles, and then he gets his information. And that's
left for the mysterious red-eye creatures. I want to find out what those are.
I know. I think they like to leave certain things in mystery, but yes, I don't know what they were. If they were loth cats or some kind of descendant, or loth coyotes.
I think they were loth cats.
No,
loth cats don't eat people.
Well, not that we've seen, right? These could be wild loth cats. They could, or something like that. No, very, very kind of like wolf pack esque. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if they were some type of wolf. I mean, if Filoni is on the scene.
Wow. But anyway, yeah, he gets his information.
Yeah, then he's told to go back to Tatooine. The Mandalorian and so the interesting thing here is that he's looking for more Mandalorians. And that's I think that's meant to set the scene for maybe at least a large port of this season, is that he's looking for more Mandalorians to help him, I guess, to be safe, because, like, his whole base was gone. But he can trust them.
The child.
Yeah.
And to return the child, because he's trying to find more information on the Jedi and
exactly.
Mandalorians may know.
And that struck me as interesting too, because I remember thinking that he, you know, why is he looking for Mandalorians when he should be looking for Jedi? And I think that's an interesting question. I think that's something they'll probably explore more, especially if the rumors of, you know, like Ahsoka and things like that turn out to be true, which I do expect. But at this point, I kind of expect those will end up being true, but just really more of a question of when rather than if. But
I have a little bit of my own theory on that.
Yeah,
but
I would love to hear it. What do you think?
Well, this is, what is it, 10 years after Battle of Endor?
I think it's
5 or 7?
I think it's closer to 5, yeah.
Closer to 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if Luke is starting a new Jedi Order, he's still keeping it very much under wraps,
Yeah,
because
that's true.
the first sign of a new order, or of a new Jedi Order, is going to be targeted by whatever Imperial remnant there is.
Right, right.
So there's probably still not a whole lot of information about new Jedi.
Did you say nude Jedi?
New.
Oh, new Jedi. All right. Nude
New.
Jedi, that might not be Disney Plus, that might be HBO Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said newt Jedi, like lizard people.
Oh, nude
I mean,
Jedi.
It's a wide galaxy.
They're brand new Jedi that are all newts,
Yeah.
and they're not wearing clothes.
Nailed it.
There we
Exactly.
go. Okay. No,
But
I think you're right. I think
guessing
Luke has
the
a...
Jedi Order is still very much underground.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. At the same time, I think Luke is known. He's known in the Rebellion and the New Republic.
Yeah.
So somebody is going to know. Right?
But is it widely known that he's a Jedi?
This is before...
That's
Yeah. That's a
actually
good point.
confirmed in Star Wars. He's known as a war hero and a pilot, but how often
There is some, because there was a whole
does
book
he ever
on
actually
that.
use the Force around others?
The Ewoks know.
Yeah. I think by this point,
There's enough people. There's at least a handful of people that know, and also enough people have heard the rumors and stuff, like he's the kid that blew up the Death Star and all of this stuff. So, also there was a book of stories about Luke Skywalker that came out before The Last Jedi,
that'd be funny.
and so like there's at least a legend of Luke Skywalker at this point, and so I have a feeling that I think kind of based on what you're saying. I think Luke Skywalker will at least be name dropped in this season. At least be
if they
name
could get
dropped.
Hamill the cameo,
Oh no, I do you one better.
like very end, very end.
I would say, well, no, I'm. It's not do you one better. That's the wrong terms. I think more realistically, Sebastian Stan, who played the Winter Soldier, he somebody like put him and just changed his hair, but he's literally a clone of a 1980s Mark Hamill. So,
funny. Okay.
So if you're watching this at home or whatever, Google Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker, and you'll be like, "Oh wow, that's perfect."
Okay.
Yes, do that.
Lost son.
Plus, he's already in good with Disney because he's playing Winter Soldier, so they can be like, "Hey, we know you're filming, this movie or this series with the Falcon right now, but hey, can we get you to just put on this Bespin or this black outfit real quick?" Like, it'd be awesome. I'd be a dream come true. So we finally get to the point in this episode where they actually show the credits. He's, and now we learn it's called the Marshal, and he's heading back to Tatooine. And I'm so glad they give us Peli Motto, right? The same character from season 1, and she's just a treasure. She's an absolute treasure. I love this opening scene. What did you guys think of this opening scene?
Loved it.
Yeah.
I love her. Gosh, what's the actress's name? I have 2 of her books.
Amy Sedaris.
Amy Sedaris.
Yes. No, she's great. She's really good in this role. We also see a little bit of the Mandalorian's growth in that she's like, you guys know he doesn't like droids, and he's like, it's okay. He's learning to trust people. He's learning to get over his prejudices. That was part of season 1's arc.
Right, yeah, especially that finale in season 1.
Absolutely. So this was a good opening scene, and we get our first, I won't say first Easter egg, but first big Easter egg in our 5D4, right?
Yeah.
I
caught
melted.
that.
Oh my gosh. I freaked out. And just the little detail of the little broken, of the like grease and scorch marks from the broken motivator.
The bad motivator.
Oh.
I know. It was so good. It's like, and this is one of those things, I'm going to be honest, and you guys also, you guys watching in the live chat, let me know what you guys think of this. Was this maybe was this pandering just a little bit? I'm like they did some of this in season 1 for sure. Like, and when that one dude sat in Han Solo's booth in the cantina, and there was still a little mark where the blaster bolt might have been, and I'm like, come on, you mean nobody's washed that wall in like 10 years? And the same thing with this droid. Like, nobody's scrubbed the top of this droid in 10 years, or maybe 15 years at this point. But
I'm just happy that R5 found a happy home.
Oh yeah.
and he's living his best life. Like,
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she not only has the old repair droids from episode 1,
Yes. Yeah.
she also has R5 from episode 4. Is just like she's just collecting all. It's like the little island of misfit droids.
Yes, absolutely. Anything that was left on Tatooine, like we're gonna see at some point. I'm sure we got the pit droids, and anything that a Skywalker touched, right? Like anything that because Anakin like worked with the pit droids, and then Luke, you know, interacted with this droid. I mean, like what else is left, right? Are we gonna see Luke's T-16 Skyhopper? You know, I mean, we did see Womp Rats. We'll see them a little bit later. And I kind of tease about the pandering. I don't think that this was pandering at all. I think this was a slight nod, and I think they left the scorch marks on there so people wouldn't be like, do you think that could have been the same droid? I think those scorch marks are there to say, hey guys, this is R5. You know, slight little nod.
Maybe he just keeps busting it.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. That's true. It could be a continually bad motivator. No, that's a good point. And R5 pulls up a map of Tatooine, which is really interesting. And I made a joke earlier about how, you know, like a lot of planets in Star Wars are really just one or two cities, and it's hilarious. He shows in the entire map of the whole planet, there's only two cities, right?
Yeah.
There's Mos Eisley and Mos Espa, and then
this little old ruin up here that
You know, it's kind of like Iowa.
right, exactly. There's a whole lot of nothing, right? And
There's corn in 2 cities.
yeah, and we know that there's not like a Jabba's palace anymore, or at least since Jabba was killed, there's a power vacuum, and
Oh.
So I actually thought this would be really cool too, from people who like to play the role-playing games or whatever. It's the first time I think we've seen a map of Tatooine also, and like, oh, okay, so Mos Eisley's north, then Mos Espa's down below that, and then Mos Pelgo's like way south of that, and she had to like scroll, she had to like do the whole thing, you know. And so like I thought that was kind of cool for role players out there who might be looking for like a little bit more of a canon map or something like that.
Yeah, I found it interesting that they were so close together. I was expecting it to be like, okay, Mos Espa's over here, Mos Eisley's, you know, a couple slides over, and then
well, they could be zoomed out really far too. That could
That's
be
true.
like a shot from orbit almost. True. And
Tatooine might also be one of those planets where it's just really you can only live around the equator. Everything else
or
is
maybe
just
the
uninhabitable.
poles, actually.
that's true. Yeah, like, or maybe there's only moisture in certain spots where. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Saddle
More baby.
We get a little more now. I put this image in here because it made me think of, well, this is a really great shot of Baby Yoda, and it makes me think of that like the Fleetwood Mac song, the meme that's going around of everybody like drinking the cranberry juice. Have you seen this meme?
I don't think I have.
All right, so there was this dude on a scooter, and it's like he set his camera out in front of him, or his phone out in front of him, and he's just scooting along like drinking the cranberry juice, and he's listening to this Fleetwood Mac song, and you'll have to Google it at some point, the Fleetwood Mac meme and the cranberry juice meme. But I saw somebody like yesterday or today put like this picture of like Baby Yoda like to that, because he's just. It's the idea is just the meme of somebody's like carefree in a situation that maybe they should be a little more cautious.
Oh, sure.
And but it's a great shot of Baby Yoda, and it made me think we really didn't get a whole lot of the child in this episode. He's more like
Really cute moments.
you did, but not in. I guess there wasn't as much like plot integral stuff. It was more like a little like, oh, don't forget he's still here, you know. But this one was way more about the Mando than the child. But not without our amazingly cute moments, and this was certainly one of them. While they're out there, and he's looking for the city of Mos Pelgo, and along the way, he's stopping to, you know, he spoke with Sand people before, and I think this is where the episode kind of transitions from that, you know, the trope of like the gangsters and I'm looking for information to now it's becoming kind of like that Western cowboys and Indians kind of thing, and he's the guy in between. And this is something I think we see a lot more as this episode progresses. And I think it's a great way to do it. Like Star Wars has become over the last several years way more about inclusion. And I feel like the Tusken implementation that this episode really shows you that it's built on reflects a lot on, you know, if people who live in North America, the Native American population, and kind of the way that people kind of that the history that we have here with them. So I think there's a lot of inspiration there, and we kind of get some of that in this episode.
Very much
definitely.
that you made some good points about the
mask?
the Tuskens and the Mandalorian culture.
Yeah, actually, we were watching the episode, and I made a point like Mandalorian probably, like some of his culture probably is reflected with the Tusken Raiders. They don't remove their masks. They're generally a warrior culture.
Yeah, they it looks like they do have an awful lot of similarities between the two.
Clan or tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same kind of respect and honor, a very honor-based and ritualistic type of culture. And while there's a lot of differences, he's more likely to be able to see the things that bind them together than the differences.
That's also probably why they're more welcoming to him. They say, "Oh, here is masked fighter, strong guy, talks business."
Yeah, and he's also different than the invaders who have kind of moved into their land, which is also interesting. Yeah, no, I like that. We do see some Womp Rats, and I think, I'm pretty sure these are Womp Rats, but I think this is the first time we've actually seen them on screen.
I don't know. I think they're too small.
I mean, they say a Womp Rat gets no bigger than 2 meters, so these could be babies.
They could be. They could be younger Womp Rats, or or they could be something else altogether. Maybe there's just kind of laying the seed, like, there was something that was talked about, that there's a whole book of like different animals and fauna and stuff that was created before Disney even took over, that they still try to reference and pay homage to that. So it could definitely be a new creature altogether.
I think you do, yeah.
I might, somewhere.
Be a really cool one to look up and see what ends up showing up, because they are definitely, the budget for this episode had to have been high, and we haven't even gotten to the high budget, the fancy effects first. But yeah, like all the CGI they put into these are great.
What are we, like 12 or 15 minutes into the episode or something like that with these pictures of like an hour episode?
Oh, absolutely. And we're getting to a point where we can kind of speed things up a little bit, because there was obviously some introductions and kind of talking about like the hype for the finally getting the season started again. So he shows up into this town, and nobody, like, you can tell they're not used to seeing visitors, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Makes his way to the bar, and I like the whole, like, this is where it has a big Western feel. He's looking for somebody that looks like him, and he's like, surprise, he's right behind you. And this is where the episode kind of hits its climax, right here, right here. We've got, here we go. I can't put this on when I got headphones on, but this was exciting. This was a really exciting part. Now, how many of you guys watching thought this was Boba Fett as soon as you saw him? Like, that's what I'm wondering. Let me know in chat. What about you guys? Were any of you guys? Did you guys think this was him or no?
Nope.
Sizing.
Not at all.
Yeah,
I love the fact this is just peak costume design here. It doesn't fit him.
Yes.
It's not his armor. It doesn't fit.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Look at that crop top going on.
Oh no, absolutely. This is absolutely excellent, and I love that you mentioned the costume design, because there was some deliberate design decisions that went into this shot and his appearance to make it obvious that while he's able to wear it, it's not sized for him. He doesn't belong in this armor for a number of reasons, but not the least of which, he is not Boba Fett. Right. Yeah. And those of us who have, and a couple of people in chat, they're like, nope, nobody, not that many people were fooled. But if you were like I was reading up on some of the spoilers, I heard that Timothy Olyphant was going to be coming to the show to reprise his role as what's his name? Cobb Vanth.
Oh, okay.
And so since I had read Aftermath, I knew the story about how he got armor that was described to be pretty much Boba Fett's armor. So it's like, okay, so somebody else, we know there's a dude on Tatooine wearing Boba Fett's armor. And so as soon as this happened, I'm like, oh, that's him. That's definitely him. But I love that he, like, his pose is wrong. He doesn't even walk like a Mandalorian. He walks like a gunfighter. He's a gunslinger. Yeah.
Like the shoulder pads
He is a
aren't
Western
on right.
sheriff.
Yes. Absolutely. And
And-
he saw the dude. He's like, wait, we got a visitor. So like he got dressed in a hurry. He put that helmet on, and he's like, I better mosey on over there and find out what's going on. We don't get too many visitors around these parts. And this dude was in a lot. He was in Deadwood. He was in Justified. And
was he? Okay, so he's got some pretty serious Western chops then.
he definitely does.
He's our modern John Wayne.
Absolutely. Now, I straight up always get this guy confused with the guy that's in Transformers because they look very, very similar and they have a lot of the same kind of mentalities. So I really want to see them team up and do a movie together. But when he took the helmet off, I know that was supposed to, for a lot of people that are like, wait a second. How is he taking his helmet off? And then he jumps straight to his like, I've never seen a real Mandalorian before. So he's admitting, so you get like the whole, like they don't beat around the bush with it. They like, and that's something else I love about this show. They don't like leave you in suspense for very long, only for a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like this show is also really great at the rule of show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. They do a little bit of telling, but they really only the things that are suitable for telling. Like they're showing you, they're telling you, they're making you experience it as a narrative show really should happen. Yeah.
I loved Jin's reaction to him taking off his helmet now. It was like his posture just like, well, gotta kill this guy now.
You can tell he's internally screaming as soon as the helmet starts to come off.
I felt that there was probably a little confusion there right away. Like, wait a second, what? This isn't. No, we're not supposed to do that. And maybe even for a split second, he's like, wait, do you know something I don't? But then he breaks the tension immediately. Nice. I've never seen a real Mandalorian before, and you're like, oh, he's gonna get you, and
gonna fight now.
Yeah. Well, and somebody. Mac Attack in the chat says as soon as he ordered drinks, he noticed the Mandalorian was like, "Excuse me," and
yes,
yeah, and also that was a throwback to season 1, episode 4 with the Spotchka as well.
He doesn't know where Spotchka. That's right.
He's just like, no, I don't eat or drink around people.
Yeah, like what? How are we gonna get this? Like, wait, and I mean. If I were doing like a how it should have ended, I'd have been like, wait, does your helmet have like a drinking tube? How do I get one of those?
You have a straw?
Yeah.
The Mandalorian straw.
That would be funny.
Like one of those curly straws too. It's like
yes. Oh my god, that would be
super
so
serious. Just like curly
funny.
straw.
If I didn't have the headphones on right now, I would go grab one of my kids' swirly straws and like be like, so guys, no, it's crazy.
I'll learn how they do the Spotchka effect. That neon liquid.
Glowy blue.
Is that a post?
I think they take chem lights, like glow sticks, and like break them open. They do something like that.
Water. Mix it up.
I think
it's probably some sort of suspension.
You probably can't drink that.
No, I did. So one time when I was in the army, we had a bunch of extra chem lights, and I actually broke some of the yellow ones open and rubbed them all over my skin, so I could glow in the dark. Bad idea. It was cool for about 30 seconds, and then it dried. It burns. It burns. Yes, it's not cool. It's not cool.
Don't put glow stick stuff on your skin, kids.
You're learning things here you never thought you would learn.
Life lessons.
Don't bathe in Spotchka.
Don't bathe in Spotchka.
Well, they learned that in the last episode where the guy got thrown in the Spotchka kettle.
Oh,
or not the last episode, but in the farming episode last season.
Yeah, absolutely. So
anyway,
they're about to have a straight up duel, and and you get some cute scenes of like Baby Yoda like trying to like hide in the pot, and then all of a sudden at the moment like something happens, right? And this is beautiful. I thought of like RPG elements of like you just before you were about to draw, like roll for initiative, like wait, GM event is happening, and all of a sudden everything starts shaking. I'm like, what? I'm thinking, again, I'm really glad they didn't spoil all of this because I'm watching like what is happening. Is the Star Destroyer landing? What is there? Are they going to have a mutual enemy that unites them? And
Bantha Stampede.
At first,
or
we thought it was a sandstorm coming.
Oh yeah, okay. No,
my mind was like, oh, sandstorm. Then they're going to be trapped there, and they have to learn to get along. But then this showed up.
Yeah.
That was even happier.
So I initially I initially thought it was Crate Dragon. As soon as I saw the size of what was moving underneath, it was like Crate Dragon, Crate Dragon, Crate Dragon. Please be. And I saw the mouth, and I'm like, okay, that's got to be Crate Dragon, right?
See, I thought it was some sort of like young Sarlacc.
Oh,
myself.
that's I didn't think of that. That's a good idea.
My brain started going like maybe it's a Sarlacc and only one gender like stays in place.
Oh yeah,
or something like that. That could be a cool.
That would be a cool. Yeah, that'd be a really interesting take on an alien species because I mean, if they're alien, you can do whatever you want. So
exactly. But yes, as soon as we learned Crate Dragon, I was over the moon.
Yeah,
I actually
absolutely.
messaged my older sister who lives in Manchester, and we were talking about it the next day. And I was like, "There was a Crate Dragon." She's like, "That's not something they just made up."
Nope.
Oh.
No, I'm disowning you.
You're not my real sister.
Well,
She's the Lord of the Rings sister. I'm the Star Wars sister. So
both excellent franchises.
Yeah,
But no, this was great, and I thought it was so polite of this Crate Dragon to go like right in the middle of town and like do absolute minimum damage to this city. You know,
the fact that nothing fell over from that much upheaval of the ground.
Oh yeah,
Because
Very
I mean,
good
the thing is,
and this thing can move very quick too. It also reminded me of like certain
great.
like desert dragons from Dungeons and Dragons too that can burrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they come to a deal and they decide, you know, like the instant friendship, like, hey, why don't you know what? I'll give you the armor if you help me take this guy down. And I loved, yes, absolutely, I loved that. I was like, okay, you know what? He's not dead set on violence, you know. And you know, you kind of wondered too because he wasn't intimidated. He wasn't afraid of him. He was going to stand up and fight him. I still think the Mando would have won, but I think it would have been a good fight, right?
Yeah.
But then we get they're riding together, and okay, do we
pod.
recognize that speeder?
the pod.
That was totally Anakin's pod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also just love like with this and the droid earlier. They must just recycle everything on Tatooine.
I mean,
they
that
probably
makes-
don't get much trade in.
Yeah.
Anything that
Yeah, no,
lands on the planet stays on the planet and gets used.
absolutely. There's
Jawas
not as much
like-
wreckage.
Jawas probably came by after the pod race and were just like, "Oh, hey,
This is mine's now.
Absolutely. They probably made 2 speeders out of 1 pod, right? Because there's only half, and like they added the sidecar, so he's driving it kind of on the side.
I love that." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love how it's definitely Anakin's pod, but it's like they're showing the wear and tear. Like it lost 2 of the bottom little, apertures that kind of stick out, and but even the sound effect was kind of there, right? Like as it's humming.
That as much.
It was. I thought I heard it. I thought I heard like the sound effect there, but it's hard to tell because you got this swoop bike or whatever the Mando's riding at the same time. So.
Oh, side note, sound effects. Should we talk about the Crate Dragon sound?
Yes, I have that. So let's do that because I was going to talk about that later on because he does it more pronounced later. But this is a good opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah.
The Crate Dragon. He does this. I mean, it's like they basically sampled the Obi-Wan call, right? Mm-hmm. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that. And let me know in the chat if you guys thought that was a familiar sound.
You pointed that out to me.
Yeah, it's like that's the one because that's how Obi-Wan scares away the Tusken Raiders in A New Hope. Is he does a Crate Dragon scream, and the Tuskens are just and if those Tuskens were in the Dune Sea here. This was the Crate Dragon that was probably still terrorizing them. I bet it's the same animal.
It probably is the same
they
one.
Were all just like, scoop.
Yep. And it's a great way to kind of make something that initially, like, I remember the first time watching episode 4, and granted, episode 4 went through a lot of revisions. It didn't even used to be an episode. It used to just be Star Wars. But Obi-Wan's howl went through a lot of different transitions.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, I think the very first one was just like, ooh, and I'm like...
Yeah, that sounds right.
I was like, come on. There's no way that's going to scare these guys. Until now, they put way more context behind it, and you're like, okay.
Oh.
I mean, it's not a right away thing. It's something you pick up on if you're a fan and you know the story. But
yeah,
hey, now that little factoid is out there for people.
Yeah, so go back and watch episode 4 again. You might actually have to go back to like one of the earlier editions of it.
you get like the theatrical. We have the like theatrical and then
The
the
special
edition DVDs.
I think in some of the more recent ones, like they've changed it to where it's more of like a howl and like it's one of those things they change in almost every release now, kind of like with Greedo's like little
Shot when
Kaplanki, yeah.
What? Yeah.
I'm like, or McClunky rather, yeah. Oh, it's just like why do we got to change it every single time? But that was one of the, I think the original sound effect is something that they definitely paid tribute to with that. And I wouldn't be surprised if you actually broke down the sound and you found every single version.
Oh, absolutely,
there.
Yeah. That would make sense to me.
Yeah, that would be a appropriate thing to do. A ringtone, nice. So we get a pretty cool scene during their travels as we get like the backstory, right? I love
this flashback back to like what happened here when the Death Star blowed up. We celebrated, and then
somebody thought of I saw somebody make a joke of this as they like, who was filming that? Like, weren't they all like in a space battle? Like, was Akbar out there with like his phone camera? Is like, we got this. Okay, hold on, let me get this. This is gonna be good. I'm gonna show. This is gonna go viral.
Yeah, the one hotshot A-wing fighter with a GoPro.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
But no, seriously, I would imagine that all the ships have cameras for targeting and for all kinds of other things, for sensors and stuff. So it was probably picked up that way. But yeah, you get a whole story of like how his town was taken over in the power vacuum, and he barely escaped, and how he got the armor. I like
just like accidentally picked
cream.
up a ice cream crate full of super fancy, valuable crystals.
These this what they call this container. I wrote it down here. The Camtono.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I saw these, it was at one of the Star Wars celebrations where before it was in The Mandalorian, of course, like it was just some random ice cream maker from Empire Strikes Back, and so many guys, they would do this thing called like the running of the ice cream makers.
No, the running of the hoods.
Yep.
Because
of
course everybody in Star Wars has a name and a story, and Wilro Hood is a character in the background of Empire Strikes Back who is carrying one of these, and it's actually like a 70s ice cream maker, but it looks like space, so let's just hand it to this guy and let him run.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So then in like some of the Legends books, things like that, he got a story that he had some sort of like rebel information in a data core and needed to get out of Cloud City. In. So he was given the name Wilro Hood, and now at Celebration they started doing the running of the hoods, where people in orange jumpsuits will take their ice cream makers, have really thick 70s mustaches,
and
then just run through the convention chanting ice cream, ice cream.
Save
ice cream, save the rebellion.
No, I love it. So
I look it up on YouTube.
I've seen it. No, it happened one time, and I didn't know what it was. As much of a Star Wars fan as I am, like there's certain details that I just wouldn't have known about, and so like I remember that happening, and so I had like a limited memory of. So thank you for clarifying it. But it's so cool, and so when they showed this in season 1, it was so cool, and so we see it again here with a new type of crystal called silicax crystals, which I tried to get some information on. I think this is their first mention.
I hadn't heard of it before, but
they are pretty. We assume they are valuable,
and they were apparently mined because it was from the mining guild on Tatooine. So they were probably mined on the planet. They were probably from deep within Tatooine, which makes. Go ahead.
Which gives something for Tatooine to be valuable for.
That's true. I am. Based on this, and then the fact that we see a Krayt Dragon Pearl later, which we're going to talk more about, I'm thinking, what if Tatooine becomes an alternate source for lightsaber crystals? Mm-hmm. What if? I mean, very rarely, but maybe like it has a purple glow. Maybe they decide like, hey, here's if somebody wanted to recreate Mace Windu's kind of thing, there's very few, but like they're really really rare.
Maybe that's what his actually is.
Absolutely.
So cool.
No, it's very exciting. So like this is we'll have to see what silicax crystals happen, but I'm calling it right now. I'm going to say has the potential to be used in some type of lightsabers or maybe lightsaber nunchucks, because why not?
Yeah. Trade this for the armor.
That
Okay,
boy.
this. I
Okay.
love that this is actually not only a throwback to Boba Fett and how he uses it, but the original action figure.
Yes.
The original.
The one that like they
action
had to
figure.
recall because kids were like swallowing the pieces or something like that, right?
I don't think it was recalled. I think the actual deal with it was.
It was a mail-in.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a mail-in where they were really back ordered because they had this character. They first introduced him in the Christmas special.
Oh, that was so good.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
basically the inspiration for our entire main character too. Was this Christmas special version?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was a.
But yeah, pretty much you had to like tilt him forward and like with you.
Yeah.
So
no.
I love that tie in there. That
No.
he shoots it like the toy.
And he also, by the way, does the rangefinder too.
Yep.
By the way, and you get that, and the toy here has the whole thing too.
Oh,
which
wow,
you can
that's
do. Yeah.
like-
Oh, it's
That's the Black Series one, right?
This is the Black Series one. I think my battery's dead. But oh no, I took it out because I have the white prototype fed also, but it lights up and everything too. It's really cool.
Thinking
So-
I want to make him like some Mandalorian armor for Christmas, or
Well, yeah, I think you just spoiled the
myself. That'd be
surprise.
so cool. Oh no, I've been threatening to do this for years.
Threatening.
Um,
I want armor.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little jealous too. It's an expensive kind of hobby to get into. That's for sure.
yeah, that'd be so.
But it's very rewarding though too.
Yeah.
Just make sure it fits better than this guy's, right?
Right.
But
yeah,
no,
this-
great scene.
this was-
And
this was-
the kind of conclusion to how he like moved in and used the armor to fight off these dudes and kind of save the town. And for the most part, this whole story pretty much lines up with the book, which is also cool. I think there's a slight variance on exactly
Yeah.
how like the sandcrawler thing went down.
I'm sure he flowered it up a little bit to make himself look good.
And that's another good way to kind of like go away from I'm just retelling it casually so you can get by with a few things. Yeah. Where somebody's asking, where did I pre-order the Clone Wars wave? I pre-ordered from Asmodee directly, but I'm also going to get additional stuff from my local game store.
Yeah, I put our order in for our local game store like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think.
Is your local game store a Fantasy Flights store?
No, actually, we
Actually-
have another one that's a little closer.
Okay.
We had one that before we moved, we were able to just walk through.
Yeah.
But we go to the Fantasy Flight Game Center. We
used
went to the Fantasy Flight Game Center usually like once a month or so.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
It's great because they have like a little mini restaurant in there too.
When
You can go up to the counter,
when the
order.
apocalypse is over,
Yeah.
you can come and visit.
Well, whenever they do like a Worlds up there or something like that, it would be a really good time to go visit. And even if I'm not playing, because a lot of the games I don't play as competitively, it's still cool to go and cover it and interview people and talk to people and rub elbows with other community members and all of that kind of thing, which is always a fun thing to do.
They moved Worlds like the first year that I was like, you know what, I feel like I'd be good enough at Armada to try Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
They moved it to Chicago.
Yeah, at Adepticon. I was gonna try and go. I was really gonna try and go this year. And
We had tickets. I had it spring break and Adepticon aligned this year, and then COVID.
things. Yeah,
So,
I was gonna go to
it's just-
LVO and Gen Con, and I canceled both of those. And yeah, it's
But
who knows?
Stay in, social distance, and watch guys in masks.
There you go. Yeah. So they're
Dog.
the doggy. Oh my goodness! I thought this was the cutest thing. That he like breaks the piece. Like so they're getting to this gourd. They kind of get ambushed, and then these are I think the same things that were the massiffs that we first saw in episode 2.
Yes, I loved having this throwback because, I actually remember being a kid and being really excited to see more Tusken Raider stuff in Attack of the Clones.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I
Absolutely.
always thought they were so cool.
Oh yeah, that whole scene was kind of dark too, because like the way
It was.
they kind of had her tied up in like a well, not in a not very family friendly episode, but like there has to be some darkness to kind of sell the dark side and what drove Anakin to where he became, and that was a powerful moving thing. But these guys will bring you back to the light side. The way he was shaking his butt too, he was like wagging his tail.
I had a
Goodest boy.
Yes, he was a very
I
good
had
boy.
a Rottweiler I lived with that was about that size, and that's exactly how
Oh
he
my
moved
gosh.
when he was excited to see you.
Yep. Oh no, I loved it.
Love this.
And he howls too, like through the mask. Like I don't know how you speak Tuscan, but I think it requires a mask. I would wager that it probably uses the modulator in a different way, like maybe even a setting. You know, yeah.
Or maybe
but-
it's the changed acoustics of the mask, or maybe different ways you could like whistle or push your breath through it.
Absolutely. There's a whole lot of creature love in this one too, because we get them like back at the camp.
Gas stick to pick the bantha teeth. Oh my god.
You got proper dental care saves you a whole bunch of pain later on. So yeah, like that's I don't know, that was just cute. You get little details like that. These very small like that's what's amazing. Maybe one of the most amazing things about this show is the extreme attention to detail. Yeah.
Where's my? There we go. I'm just used to talking at the computer instead of talking into the camera.
Oh no, absolutely. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. We got some things from the chat that I was that a different looking missile. Oh, they were going back to the missile that he shot. He had multiple missiles, and don't forget that, like somebody else pointed out, they did have an entire like warehouse full of bombs. So he could have easily have just outfitted one of those to go in there. I'm sure that's.
I bet those were mining charges. I don't think they ever mentioned it, but it was a mining town, right? So I bet those were all mining charges that they'd had from
probably.
before.
And it would stand to reason it probably wouldn't be that much of a leap to be able to just to reconfigure one. Yeah. Yeah, because it's about the same size, and so you just have to maybe repaint it a little bit. I mean, if you're out there in the middle of nowhere, what hobbies you got? I mean, we paint miniatures a lot of times and stuff like that. And he was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to paint this to match my armor. File it down a little bit, make it a little more aerodynamic, add some cool fins on there. He probably had like 3 or 4 more of them back at his house, ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. So we get a good kind of sit down scene where they're kind of doing like this is where I think the episode kind of felt a little bit more like a Dances with Wolves kind of scene where he's trying to like broker a peace between their two people and it's not it's certainly not easy, and it's we see them almost get into a fight here.
I also love Baby Yoda between the legs.
Oh my goodness! And then the dog was like licking his lips, looking at baby. Oh, it was adorable, and he was just like, oh, whatever kid they have doing the voice for Baby Yoda too, like a very subtle little voice, like little vocals, like just the little squeals and stuff are just divine. They're so good. Love this. Give you baby fever at all? A little bit. Yeah. A little.
Oh my gosh! Sorry,
right.
this.
Yes. So yeah, we fast forward to the next day. They're trying to bait the dragon out with a bantha, and it fails miserably. Again.
I love the reaction from the raiders when they happen. They're just like, Jeff.
Exactly. Poor Jeff. Yeah, he's like, they may be open to new ideas. No, it's great, and it adds just that, like, it's a little bit more of that, like, just enough humor, to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. I love it. And then the bantha's there afterwards, like, what happened?
Where's Jeff?
Is somebody else going to come untie me? Because I'm ready to go home now.
Someone needs to clear out my fur in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
it's scale.
I love this. So I actually made a meme of this. I was posting in the spoilers channel.
The AT-AT one. I think.
Oh yeah, exactly right. Like so, I think this is going to be a meme in miniatures gaming now too, and not just for Legion. The whole like it's not to scale. I think it is. Like
if this had come out before the Superstar Destroyer,
exactly
right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we're gonna see I think we're not done seeing really big ships or even more huge ships.
I don't expect that either. No,
like the Lucre Hulk and the Malevolence specifically, they almost have to do those at some point, and there's obviously going to be some questions about the size, and so I feel like there's a meme here with a lot of potential for the future. So.
Yeah, that's a solid one.
Fun gaming meme, but yeah,
absolutely. So this one was cute. And then we kind of get down to the final third of the episode where the townspeople start, in this kind of uneasy peace where they're kind of reluctantly working with the Tuskens, and
this also had a nice little kind of personal growth moment for Vance.
Yes,
where, he's the one keeping his people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you saw his prejudices. You definitely saw that and it's hard to have this much growth in an hour because the episode. And now this was actually, I think, the longest running time of an episode of The Mandalorian to date. Maybe only by a little bit, but still, there's a lot of growth that they are able to get through. And I think part of that is because it's tropes that we've seen before, so we're kind of familiar with some of this, but it's done well.
I think the pacing was really solid on that. But also just that initial we're going to work with the Tusken Raiders, and the whole village is like, let's just get eaten instead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And it took both of
school, not the school.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was like classic Western right there.
Classic Western.
Classic Western. You didn't see any children too, by the way. So makes you wonder.
One teenager.
When they first go through the
kind
town.
of preteen.
Yeah, maybe. It's a school of one, right? He's just we got to teach Joey. He's going to be the one to change all our diapers. Is there a Joey?
It's always Joey's.
Is it? Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're
going to go in there, it's going to be a whole bunch of baby kangaroos, and you're going to be like... Yeah. But talking about growth...
He's drinking the goo.
Yeah, it's like a fruit. I guess it's like juice in the fruit.
Probably some sort of fermented...
Yeah, like a rotten orange. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I thought this was kind of... Because this was done so quickly, it's like they didn't focus on it. They didn't have to have a discussion. It was like, I see you're drinking the thing. Yes, well, me and Pablo here have become friends, right? They didn't have to do that. They just do it. And so if you care to pay attention, you're going to realize that he's getting over some of it. Can you post the template of that meme sometime? Yeah, I posted it in the... So people in chat asking
spoilers of his Discord.
If you go in my Discord, there's going to be links in the video description. I posted it there. I think I also posted it on the Legion Discord because we were joking about AT-ATs coming.
Yeah,
but yeah. So, and so basically they get into the big battle. They have this whole plan to bury all the charges.
He noticed a really fun detail.
Okay.
About the spears.
All right, what's
the heads of the harpoons are shaped like the pointy end of the gaffy stick, where they got the square blades on them, and then the point.
Interesting, yeah. So that would make sense. That's their technology. That's their culture. That's the weapon. That's their version of the arrowhead, right?
Also, I love how they just are Tusken Raiders have ballista.
Yeah,
we don't know where they got the wood.
Yeah, this is the first siege weaponry we've seen in a long time.
Legion options, maybe.
Oh, for Legion? Oh, man.
Tusken Raider faction?
With giant ballista. Yeah, that's a great idea.
That now.
Honestly, if there's anything we're going to get for Legion out of this episode, while Cobb Vanth would be cool, I want the Crate Dragon. And just the head,
and the Raiders.
A burrowed version of a Crate Dragon. Like you just see the head and you wonder what else is not visible. I think that's the takeaway here. As Armada players too, I asked Michael Gurnis about this a little bit too, and he was just are you kind of hoping to see any Armada inspiration, and he's like, I don't know if this is the right show for that, and I'm like, but they could be in the background.
We might see that there were previews of chase scenes with X-wings
on a Star Destroyer. Well, they're supposedly supposed to go to a Star Destroyer at one point. There were some scenes, there was a scene in the Verse trailer, it looked like it was on the bridge of a Star Destroyer. So, there's going to be at least one scene in space.
Moff Gideon running around.
Yeah.
Moff Gideon
probably has
as an Armada character would be pretty cool.
He probably has maybe an Imperial class.
Oh, no, he could be, or even just as a card pack. Even if they just do another campaign, in a cardboard pack, he makes for a good, and that's what I think one of the things I think Armada is going to have to do is, since there's only so many ships, do more cardboard packs. And, and there's no problem with that because that adds so much to the game. You also have to reprint the existing ships so people can get them though.
I'm a huge fan of the Corellian conflict and campaigns for. They're just additions to the games in multiple aspects.
Absolutely.
But I don't think you'll see a lot of Armada stuff from Mandalorian, because one of the key features to this show is that it's Outer Rim. It's stories outside of Republic and Imperial. You still see that influence in there, but it's kind of its own.
You do. At best, I'm
separate.
hoping for like just a little bit. Like
Just a little bit
he has
would be
to like run through a blockade, and maybe we see, you know, a silhouette of a new ship, or maybe a closer look at maybe a Legends ship that people wanted, that, you know, or something like that. Like
Support vessel.
yeah, more dreadnoughts would be great. So we have an interesting question from the chat, and I'll field this one to you guys. So let's see who. We're getting a lot of questions from the chat, so I got to scroll up and.
Started talking
Skull,
about...
no, this is good. Skull asks, never thought of that. There's wood on Tatooine, because those are ballistas, right?
That is another thing that I noticed during the show.
Like,
You don't really see plant life, but maybe this could be some sort of antique from before Tatooine became a desert planet. Because I remember that being some of the legends, that the planet kind of got destroyed.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder if, or maybe there's underground stuff. I mean, we know that I think Aunt Beru had some hydroponics growing in their house.
It could also be that it just like we assume it's wood.
Yeah, it could be metal.
It could be just
bone.
scrap metal or bone.
Oh, it could be bone. There you go. That's fantastic. I like that idea.
Actually, like Krat Dragon ribs or like Bantha ribs might make sense for that.
Yeah, I think Bantha is probably the right size factor for that, and also the fact that we saw a Bantha skeleton kind of early on when they were kind of zooming in from the air. Yeah. A Bantha rib ballista sounds like a really. I think you called
like wood, but you paint it.
Yeah, or maybe
so it could have come from off planet.
Yeah, you could have painted it in the blood of the enemies that it's killed. That sounds like a very Tuscan thing to do, right?
Tuscan thing to do. Yeah. New headcanon.
Yeah, and it's literally a cannon that shoots people's heads off. All right. Nice. So
love the Great Dragon fight. Could have done without this.
This was kind of gross and unexpected, but also kind of cool. Like,
I mean, it's dragony.
Yeah, but I think it brought like.
This felt more like Dungeons and Dragons than Star Wars to me, right? Like with the breath weapon, it's a toxic. Like to me, it seemed like it like dissolved these guys, like it was acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely an acid breath, which I mean, I could have done without, but I mean,
I feel like at the
same time,
as a desert living creature, spewing fluids out of your body to melt food. Potential food and fluid sources seems like a poor evolutionary advantage.
Yeah.
Well, here's
cool.
I mean, it could be strong stomach acids that you can break down whatever you can find in the desert to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a cool, like, here's a really good example of like how we could nitpick, because you're exactly right. Like, there's very limited moisture. Why is he expelling moisture? And like you said, maybe he needs that to be able to break through certain types of rock, or maybe and maybe he stores it up, or maybe we all have to go to the bathroom sometime. Maybe this is his way of going to the bathroom, and we didn't see the Krayt Dragon's butthole. I know we're family friendly here, but like it could be.
I suppose, like we said earlier,
everybody poops.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Having that breath weapon is kind of a fun dragon thing to do. It also does heighten the danger of facing the Krayt Dragon. It was just kind of gross.
It was a little bit gross, that's for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and by the way, guys in chat, keep your questions and comments coming, because once we wrap everything back down, I'll go through and get some of the ones that we missed. And
yeah. Sure.
And yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so I think also the breath weapon served as a, hey, like they made the thing about when he goes up top, they try to detonate this explosion. It hurts him but doesn't kill him. He gets away and he comes out at the top of this mountain and he's still shooting some more. And they're like, well, we can't just leave now because he's picking us off. So I think it was a plot device kind of to force them to engage.
So, like, late 90s, early aughts, like action video game boss fighty.
Oh yeah,
Like, you
definitely.
get it on the
It's a boss
ground,
fight.
and then it comes up out of the top of the mountain and starts spewing acid at you. Like,
It's
Okay.
almost like Dragon Ball Z. Like, I have evolved to my second form. I'm the king of the mountain, right? Like, he's over 9,000 feet high.
and the jetpack tag team that they did with this part.
Oh,
That was kind of
I got the screenshot ready to go. Yes, I love.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite parts of the episode too. It was very cool. Like, and you could tell Cobb had practiced with it a little bit because they're not the easiest things to. They take some time to learn how to use. So
Yeah.
they get up there. And I love this too. Like once they land pretty seamlessly. They're trying to shoot at him. Maybe I think they were trying to hit his eye, but he was moving or something like that.
yeah.
But like this shot of them through his mouth, like it made me pause because I have to go back. Like, I watched the episode first, like as early as I can, just because I'm a geek and I want to avoid spoilers. Then I watched the video with the family so the kids can watch it, and also this way I've seen it once already. I can make sure it's safe for the kids. And then I go back through again to grab screenshots. So I ended up watching that video 3 times. On the third time through, I caught this scene and I was like, man, this really whoever the director was for this episode, and I actually didn't catch that one because I try to pay attention to the directors.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch it either.
Really, really good angles, really good cinematography, great shots that were lined up in this episode. Very like, and there's another one too that I don't have a screenshot of. Is that when the dragon kind of comes out of the ground more, and the camera zooms in on Cobb Vanth, kind of taking in the size of this thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really good effect that happens there. It was beautiful. Was it Jon Favreau? The chat thinks it was Jon Favreau who directed this
That
one.
would make sense to me.
But they've mentioned in the Star Wars gallery they're making of that they do a lot of these, the shots and that kind of angle editing. They have a lot of that planned out months in advance.
Yeah, the storyboarding is going to so. Granted, it still takes a director to bring it home, but I think it's a combination of the writing, the storyboard team, the artistry, and the director, and of course the actors, and the whole team, and the special effects, and the editing, all of that stuff to bring this together. But the result
There's a
was
next level of collaboration going on.
absolutely,
That is
absolutely.
beautiful.
It was really beautiful. It's a beautiful episode to watch. It was so much fun to talk about.
Yes.
And a funny bit, all right? He finally figures out a plan. He sees the explosives on the bantha, and he hits that jetpack. It's another Easter egg, right? Back to Luke hitting, Han Solo breaking it, breaking Boba Fett's and causing him to kind of launch away. Same effect here. He kind of spirals out of control.
And I'm sure the Mando knows exactly that defect, which is probably why none of the other Mandalorians have that exact same jetpack anymore.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah.
He's probably like, yeah, if you hit those too hard, they ignite on you while you're wearing them.
We haven't had jetpacks like that since the
separate
Clone
fault.
Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But,
that's a really good point. I love that. Yeah.
Mando, to be honest, Mando kind of sus.
Oh man! So you guys who are like, I've been streaming Among Us lately, so calling somebody sus is pretty funny.
A little bit, but I teach middle school, and that's
They all say that, right?
their life right now. Is
Yeah.
like we do schoolwork and we play Among Us. So yeah, that's
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
it's fun.
It's cute, and it's better to play with friends for sure. But yeah, like when I do the live streams and I let people come in from the Discord, there's a lot more younger children that come in, and yeah, I've noticed that too. And it's nothing bad against the kids, like for the most part, they've been pretty good kids and everything. So, but it is funny. But he also trusts. Oh, look at this. But he and the interesting thing here is he's going to try it. He's like, I want you to take care of the child. So it's like, Cobb Vanth has earned, we're talking about growth. He's earned his respect in this time. You were about to kill him an hour, 45 minutes ago. Now you're trusting him with your son, right? And I think this is probably a whole lot to unpack with him doing that. And part of it was desperation, but the dude was brave enough. You've seen him grow. You've seen him overcome some of his prejudices, and he could fly pretty well, and he handles a blaster pretty well. He's done well. He flew with you. He went into battle with you. And so I really liked what was going on here.
Well, also Cobb Vanth showed a lot of leadership capacity in his getting the town to be like, hey, listen, we're working with the Tusken Raiders. I
Yeah.
don't care if you're crying and moaning and complaining about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
this is
Fuck
the
up.
way.
This is
Oh,
what
okay,
we're
this is the way.
Exactly. Yeah, he did, and I think it kind of factors into what may end up being a theme for this season is like more like growth for the Mandalorian, but like what does does the armor really make the man, or does the man make the man, right? Like or the the character versus title, and I feel like another character we're going to see in here in a little bit is going to play a big part in that as well.
Yep.
So Mando flies out. Another throwback to first off the first episode, but also the Christmas special with the Electroprod, taming
The
beasts.
Electrod. Also Boba Fett, because Boba Fett also ended up in the belly of a beast.
Yeah.
That's true. So I want to actually thank you for reminding me, because I wanted to go back and talk about this a little bit. The nest that they're at, it was an abandoned Sarlacc nest.
Mm-hmm.
And they make this joke earlier about like, I've never seen an abandoned Sarlacc nest, and they're like, well, unless the Krayt Dragon ate the Sarlacc. Do you think that this Krayt Dragon ate the Sarlacc? Basically, do you think this was the pit of Carcoon, right? Do you think this is the one?
Is it might be too rocky around it. I think the pit of Carcoon was on a more level.
The pit of Carcoon was in the middle of the desert.
It does. Well, they could. I mean, granted, this
of
dragon may have. He can potentially reshape the landscape too.
He's pretty big.
That's true, and we also don't know if a
How far this
Sarlacc
tunnel
nest
goes.
extends,
Yeah,
or anything like that, or if it moves.
that's true. The landscape doesn't look like the immediate landscape we saw in Return of the Jedi, but then again, it could have been a longer tunnel.
Yeah.
But I think, wouldn't it be interesting if it turns out that this was the Krayt Dragon that ate the pit, the Sarlacc from the pit of Carcoon, and thus is the one that somehow saved Boba Fett's life? Because the story of him escaping is a little different in Legends, and so we don't know what the new canon story is.
Yeah, we don't know if he lit off a half dozen concussion grenades in the thing and it was like, save me, armor.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And bullet
Or-
himself out.
Slowly and painfully fixed his jetpack and got out.
There's. I hope they address that, and I hope it's done in a very good way. That maybe explains how he came to part with his armor too.
That's a cool shot, though.
Yeah,
That's a good screenshot.
that is
there.
a good screenshot. And
I would love it if. Oh, in this
classic,
one.
blow it up from the inside.
This one, and then he detonates it, and all of a sudden, like the shockwave is brilliant. It's one of my favorite shots of the episode. It's
And it's
really
just dust, though, too.
Beautiful.
yeah,
Just great use of... Well, and the fact of the amount of budget that must have gone into the the dust particle effects alone of this segment
yeah.
must have been staggering.
No, you're absolutely right. Mac Attack says the pit of Carcoon is out in the Dune Sea, and I don't think they were in the Dune Sea. Yeah, it's probably not the exact same Sarlacc. So, and they certainly kind of attribute to the fact that there's many Sarlaccs. So
Sounds like an awful planet.
yeah, it doesn't sound like it's all that nice.
Sand everywhere.
People keep coming back to, like, Tatooine was supposed to be like this out of the way planet that's become the most popular planet. Yes. So great kind of conclusion. Mando flies out. He's got all this goo kind of dripping off of him, which is, I'm assuming, not the exact same material that dissolved everybody else.
Scar might be resistant to it.
But it's all over his scarf, too.
Yeah, like his scarf looks fine, right? So hopefully that's regular stomach acids and not the exact, like, also, if the dragon also like drained his bowels already, he probably had a mostly empty gullet. So well, even like snakes, like they they expel the venom or so, and now they're empty for a little while until they regenerate the supply. So I think there's like multiple kind of analogies on how he, like, it's safe to go in now because he already puked out a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe. All right, so here's a cool scene, right? Like the Sand People wanted all of the meat, they wanted all of this, and it's really cool special effects they did with the meats. But Baby Yoda's wanting that big old steak. They got a big fillet of Krayt that they loaded up, which I love because that's a lot of meat, man. That makes me really want a steak. But
That's gonna need to, like, maybe 2 chest freezers in the basement of the back of the.
they're gonna eat for a couple of months.
The back of the Razor Crest.
Actually, he might have to carbon freeze some of that.
Oh yeah, because he's got the carbon. He can. That's a great.
Actually, yeah, I could just
Oh
cut
my
fillets of
gosh.
it and carbon freeze it.
Yeah,
That'd be a great way
that's a
to.
great. Grind some of it, man. You could have like steak and eggs for breakfast. You'd be having beef for every meal. So Baby Yoda's gonna get real big eating that much protein. Maybe he's gonna get ripped. You know.
I hope he gets
I wanna
great
see-
superpowers.
I want to see a muscle mysterious race, just like gigantic, like Yoda. You know, we didn't see Yoda until he was in his 900s or his late 800s.
Right.
We've only seen the child, and maybe like 50 to 100 years, we just get this like enormous like ripped
Go through a
out.
growth spurt, and then there's like a 2-year period where they're just like insane. That'd
They
be
just
funny.
put it back down again.
Right.
We weren't expecting this.
yeah,
We
this
thought he was
surprised
going to
me.
be like,
You can keep it."
the armor. We respect you. But no, he's like, no, this is mine.
I mean, he's got to take payment, right?
Right. This was a little unexpected. He hands it over, and they end well. Like they end like as friends, and like, I hope to see you again. And he's like, I hope so too. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're coming back for the season finale. You know.
In the future, he melts down Boba Fett's Beskar to make tiny Beskar for Bebe.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a great idea. Wow. Baby Yoda Fett.
want
Baby
that.
Fett. His name is
Baby Fett. Yoda Fett.
Oh my goodness.
Anywho, this
That's
was a nice moment.
No,
Yeah, very surprisingly, like we said this was going to happen. This was the deal. The deal went through as expected.
Yeah.
Man
Which-
of his word.
Which I think is something that has happened a couple times in The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Which
there was
is-
no double crossing. Like it was
Yeah.
a straight up an honorable deal, an honorable guy and a lawless planet.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
if they double cross, they kind of get what's coming.
yeah. So
that's-
I don't know if they're gonna show Cobb Vanth again, but I hope so because I love the actor, and I grew to really appreciate the character. They did him way more justice than the books did. Of course, the books were kind of just planting seeds. There were a
Yeah,
lot of little interludes in those.
there were like 5-page, 7-page vignettes about him.
Yeah, there was. I think there was 2 or 3 separate interludes about him,
Yeah.
and they were. I don't know if they planned on doing him from this that far out, or if they just wanted to.
Probably not.
They probably wanted to plant some seeds that were available to future authors for whatever purpose, and this proved to be a good one.
Yeah.
And then the Krayt Dragon Pearl, which is pulled out, which was a huge throwback to like players who have the Knights of the Old Republic, or I think it showed up multiple times in various games. But I always thought the Krayt Dragon Pearl was the size of a kyber crystal. I didn't realize because like you used to, in Knights of the Old Republic, you used to put it in your lightsaber.
That's what gave you a white lightsaber, wasn't it?
I thought it was
that
just a
a-
buff. I don't
Okay.
think it was a color crystal.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they came from a baby crate dragon.
Well, that is
This was supposed to be like, especially like
a
they
big
don't
one.
get that big.
Right.
Like,
Right.
he straight up says in the episode like Krayt dragons don't get that big. I was like, maybe you're wrong.
Well, there was also like if you go back to episode 4, the bones we saw on the hill weren't as
Much.
big as this, right? Like this is like an elder Krayt dragon or something like that, which is kind of cool also. But
I'm trying to think of what species of animal it is where they don't really stop growing; they just die.
Crocodiles.
Crocodiles.
oh yeah, oh
It would be a good reference point. You know, it's just like enormous, like
yeah, like a
Doesn't
lockjaw
die.
kind of yeah.
no predators.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, there are crocodiles that are like, this is twice the size we thought crocodiles could get because it just hasn't died yet.
Yeah, I think some snakes can get really really big like that
Yeah.
too.
You know more about those giant, scary animals than we do. We just have snow and up here, so
So I've heard somebody also mentions that the Krayt Dragon Pearls are also exist in the Fantasy Flight RPG, the Star Wars RPG.
oh, okay.
I've heard a theory is that like maybe in the new canon or something like that, maybe the pearl has potentially a kyber crystal in the center of it, like so one that big. Maybe you crack it open and there's some kind of maybe
Yeah,
that's where the dark saber comes from, right?
Ooh, that would actually be a really cool connection that they could bring in. I would love that.
That's see, I need to get Dave
gonna do
Filoni
it.
on here too. I'm sorry.
What are the Tusken Raiders going to do with it?
Oh yeah. Well,
They're going to try to trade it for something. They're going to set up a little altar.
They've been
They just
waiting-
roll it around.
They've been waiting for years to get their chief a new bowling ball.
oh. This actually reminded me of like two scenes already. One was episode 1 when they hold up that orb at the beginning, or at the very, very end of the movie. You know, the big peace orb. Which, by the way, what the heck was that anyway? I think there was books written about it, but I wonder what the
It's pretty.
It was pretty, right? but also like the Jawas when Mando brings them the cheese egg, right? And they're just like, ah! You're like, it would have been really funny if these guys and they just cut it open and started drinking like the
Like Cadbury egg now.
Oh my goodness, yeah. They really should do what was the creature? The Bronto? Is it no?
Yeah, Mudhorn.
Mudhorn. Yeah, they should do Mudhorn eggs for Easter. I'm surprised we didn't have that left.
Because that's what I want in my Easter basket is hairy eggs.
Oh yeah, maybe without the
With
hair.
a cool, like golden cream in the center. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you make your own.
And then, you make it chocolatey, and yes.
Oh my! So we kind of end on this, and you're like, oh, who is this? Now, granted, I had already heard the rumors of Tamira Morrison returning.
I was so sad that I'd already heard that. And that's why I just tried to not go on the internet anymore.
I know, but the thing is, you never know if they're real, and also you never know when they're going to show up. So I was still really happy about this. I thought initially that we were going to see, and of course they zoom in, and so they leave very little doubt. And this wasn't as big of a spoiler for me because we already had a huge, like, borderline confirmation that Boba Fett was coming back in season 1 because of the sound effect when you had the mystery footprints. But also, I've always wanted.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Oh yeah, like the you know, he finds the dead body. The sound effect that plays is the same sound effect that plays when Boba's in the Slave One in Empire Strikes Back, and he's kind of like tracking the Millennium Falcon and stuff. It's part of his little sensor equipment or something. So it was basically they were telling you it was Boba. Plus, it was on Tatooine. It kind of made sense.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the first Tatooine episode. But I always thought that they were going to introduce him kind of like in a bar scene. And my ideal was that, similar to the very, very opening scene in season 1, episode 1, he goes in there and he's like, okay, I can bring you in warm, I can bring you in cold, or whatever. And he kind of grabs somebody and he's walking out, and all of a sudden, this dude turns around and he's like, that's my bounty, right? And then it ends, and you're like, who is that? Is that Boba, or is it Rex, or is it Cody, or something like that, right?
I know, there was part of me, although the timeline isn't quite right, thought maybe it could be, or maybe the actor could be playing a clone. So I wanted to hold out hope that it was going to be Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's credited in IMDb as Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But granted, I wasn't sure if that was, kind of a...
it could be a guesswork. Sometimes they make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They sometimes make mistakes, but I mean, I'm pretty sure. I think it's safe to say it's definitely Boba Fett, especially the way it ties into the episode. If it were somehow Rex, that would not make sense for this episode, and I don't expect them. That's not how they do business here.
There's a beard now, so
true. I mean, granted, razors exist, right? But yeah, if it was a clone, one of the, well, he's a clone too, so bad example. But yeah, if it was any other clone, then, but no, this was exciting because I think he's going to be in next episode.
Yeah, and I look forward to it. I'm a longtime Boba Fett fan. Mm-hmm. Like that was like my books growing up were the Mandalorian, like the Boba Fett Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Mandalorian armor.
Yes.
Besides
Kevin J. Anderson.
Yeah, besides the X-Wing books.
Okay.
Those are the ones that I was big on. Like I didn't read the original Thrawn trilogy until like 3 years ago, I think.
I'm about in the same beat as you. I started out with a lot of Kevin J. Anderson stuff, and then I just recently came back to the Timothy Zahn stuff. So,
but this
was great. He's actually like the makeup they have him in. He's actually pretty makes sense. It kind of makes you like, all right, maybe he did crawl out of the Sarlacc and got scarred. I mean, granted, they could. It's been a long time. He could have done anything to get scarred in that time, but Sarlacc.
Helmet the whole time.
Yeah, he's been without his helmet for a while. Maybe he had to crawl out of his armor. Maybe the armor had some of the stuff in it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the actor that played young Boba Fett.
Logan Daniel. I would love to see.
Or Daniel Logan.
Daniel Logan?
Logan.
That is it, yeah. Daniel Logan.
I would love to see him do a Boba Fett prequel.
There might be demand. Well,
like-
this show is gonna
like
this show is gonna
wait.
tell you if there's demand for it or not. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. I would love that.
I mean, because Boba Fett got his own like story arc in the Clone Wars series, so he's a tremendously popular character.
Oh, yeah.
He did, and I think they did a short story about him in the latest From a Certain Point of View, the one based on the short stories from Empire Strikes Back.
I need to read that one yet. I
have not read that one yet either, but those were really. I liked the first collection; they were pretty good.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, so no, like I think next episode kind of is not going to just jump to another planet. I think kind of like how in the first season, episodes 1 and 2, like you thought he was done, but then he gets intercepted before he gets back to his ship. I think that's what happens here.
And he could have what's her name?
Peli Motto.
Which one?
The one that they
That
went
died?
to get on Tatooine.
Oh, she's.
Oh.
I think she died.
She's dead. I thought.
Oh,
She got shot.
That's
Yeah.
right. She got shot.
And then they
Because
came back
the-
like the
like,
next
the
day,
puppet
and her body
comes
was still
and
there.
One bounty hunter guy shot her
Oh,
because he's like, I see your games, and just blasted her.
you might have her stuff.
Yeah, but then they killed him too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely going to tie into that a little bit because she had talked about her contact, and I think this was her contact.
That would make sense.
And the other thing, he's got a gaffy stick and a rifle from Sand People, so he's been messing with Sand People too.
Yeah.
Like he's probably not. I'm really curious what direction they're going to take with old Boba Fett here now. If he's going to be,
He might have
Like-
taken those from a Tusken Raider. Like,
Yeah,
I kill you, I got your stick.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
I-
kind of his MO.
I don't know if they're going to make him be a good guy, a bad guy, or somewhere in between. Like I don't know what direction they're going to go with him.
I mean, ruthlessness has always been his thing. So if they make him too nice, I think I'm actually going to be upset.
Yeah, like I think at worst, like what I really want, I'll tell you what I want to see. Like I want to see him back in his armor. I want to see him like maybe have a rough and tumble with the Mando. Maybe Mando barely wins, and it's maybe because he has armor and this guy doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy gets his armor, puts the armor back on, and I kind of want to see them like have to fight to get like. The problem is they did that already in this episode, right? Like I wanted this to be the one that Boba Fett like actually like was like, we need to team up to fight the Hutts or something like that.
Yeah.
Might be kind of nice to see Boba Fett kind of get, I don't know, almost brought back into the fold of Mandalorian culture, and maybe try to help the Mandalorian with his quest to find the other Mandalorians, because he's been alone.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make him the antagonist, though. I think they're gonna make him a recurring bad guy. Because he didn't get enough. He was supposed to be a bad guy in the original movies, and everybody loved him. So he almost became like the anti-hero, like a Deadpool kind of. And so, like, I think they're going to give him some chops, and like, they might even make him like kill somebody that you care about. Like, oh, I'm gonna say like, who's the lady we love? Peli Motto. I think. How much you want to bet he kills Peli? And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, we hate him now. Yeah. And he kills her with the armor on, and so you see him like with the. And I think also if they bring him back as a recurring bad guy, I want to see him get his a fresh coat of paint on his armor. Merchandising, right? We need
Merchandising.
maybe like a red and black or something, or maybe even just a fresh coat of green, but something slightly different to distinguish it.
He definitely stuck with the Onaka gang paint scheme.
Yeah. So no, it's there's a whole lot of future here. It was a fun episode. I really liked seeing the Boba Fett armor, even though it didn't fit Cobb Vanth as well. But
Funny.
It was nice seeing him fight with the Mando. Two Mandos together.
The thing with this that gets me is it's like you have actual person in the armor, and then you have like the cosplayer.
Yeah,
because you get so many people that like are so passionate about it, and then their costume.
Wait,
is
did you
really
make
nice
that one
to
yourself, or is that one store bought? Kind of like that. Yeah. Like that's kind of, and they did a great job with that too. They really did. So no, I loved the episode.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I can't wait for the next one.
I mean, I haven't had a Mandalorian episode that I didn't get done with and was just like,
oh,
I'm good.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I really loved every one of them. I think a lot of people said episode 4 of last season was their least favorite, and that was one of my most favorite ones. Like the
ATST, that one.
Yeah, and the kind of the quiet town where he saw a potential future for himself.
My only issue with that one was
Seven
it's
Samurai.
like the third time they did the Seven Samurai storyline in the Star Wars show.
Oh yeah, no, I can see
They
that.
did it in Clone Wars, they did it in Rebels, and then I think they did it in Rebels at least, and then they did it in Mandalorian again. It was just like,
Yeah,
I like the Seven Samurai story, guys, but
No, I get it. Yeah,
Just the fact that we got Cara Dune, though.
yeah,
I do like
yeah.
Gina Carano.
It did a
She's
lot of good things. That's for sure. So let's see. I'm just going through the chat here, seeing if there's any more. Mudhorn egg omelet at the Disney Star Wars location. Yeah, that would be a good idea. They could certainly they could do something like that.
Or some sort of like pineapple smoothie inside of a furry cup.
That's an idea.
Like
We got some people that think definitely Boba is going to be following his armor. He was obviously watching. He probably could, like, the same thing. Like, he probably couldn't take on all that stuff alone. I definitely think he's going to go after it. Some people think he's working for Gideon, for Moff Gideon. I don't know if I think that he's had any run-ins with Moff Gideon yet. I don't think.
Hard to say, yeah. I mean, Moff Gideon might know of Boba Fett just because of Boba Fett's contracts he's taken for the Empire. There might be a database of like former mercs and bounty hunters the Empire has hired on.
Yeah.
That he could have picked it up, and so it's possible. But
he may even be following. He may not even be following his armor. He may be following the child, if he is taking an Imperial contract.
Because there is a bounty on him still.
Yeah, that's a possibility. So I heard. I want to end with one thing that I read today that I thought was really, really insightful, and it's kind of a maybe partially a joke, but it's still worth, I think, interesting. Is what if Darth Vader hired Boba Fett specifically in Empire Strikes Back and before, when he initially brought on Boba Fett because of nostalgia, because he sounded just like his clones.
Oh wow.
Oh, that makes you kind of sad, right? That little bit of Anakin,
Like,
especially after Clone Wars season 7. You know, and he's like he hears him and he thinks back to Ahsoka and he's like, yes, I'll take you. You can work with me. You know?
That's heartbreaking.
there was another one that I remember someone posted. I think it was on the General Armada Discord a while back, but it was just like, think about the fact that the last thing Obi-Wan sees is Luke and Leia reunited for the first time.
Oh wow, yeah. Things you don't even think about, like yeah.
It's like the last thing he sees is like, oh, those are those two twins that I kept safe and apart from this guy who's murdering me for this long.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. I'm still upset about, like, Star Wars loves to have so many people like die for a really important reason. It seems like no good reason for me. Like Obi-Wan, like they're just like, hey, I'm going to let you kill me. And I'm like, no, fight back. Because honestly, Obi-Wan did not become more powerful than I could maybe Obi-Wan has no imagination, but I imagined like him showing up with like giant fangs and like Grievous style lightsabers and like force lightning and just like shooting, bazookas like coming out of his back, and I'm like, okay, now he's really more powerful. But no.
It's also, Obi-Wan messing with Anakin.
Yeah,
like,
right, knows how to press his
I'm
buttons.
better than you.
I know, just so many important characters' deaths feel like they're just almost like suicide, like Luke and then Leia later on too. I'm like you were perfectly healthy, you just laid down and died. Stop it. And I don't want to see anyone like what if the day comes.
Down and I'll have the higher ground.
Oh, no kidding. I say this: if the day comes that we have to watch, Din Djarin finally die, he better die on his feet. He better not just lay down and say, "Well, Yoda does the same thing." Yoda, you were perfectly healthy. Yoda, you just laid down and died.
Yeah, that's definitely a new Star Wars
Trope.
They're getting into. That's a little. I think that's also like. There's some elements I've really enjoyed about the new movies, but I think that's one, like, more classic older fans, that's one of the things that gets them the most. It's just like, oh, this character that I've loved for 40 years just kind of...
Just laid down and died. Yeah, exactly. Like, at least Han, Han didn't just throw his life away.
Yeah, Han got stabbed in the heart and then dropped into an exploding planet.
Yeah,
like that's... Luke, there was kind of a theme of sacrifice.
Yeah.
There was a little, yeah.
It was. It was definitely there. It was just, I'm just nitpicking, for the sake of nitpicking. All right. Well, I think we need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
And wow, this ran over time, but I thought it was a very great discussion. I want to thank you guys for hanging out, and it was a great Mando chat. But thank everybody for watching. Be sure to check these guys out. There's going to be links to their podcast down below, so do that. If you're watching after the fact, leave your questions or your concerns or your insights down in the comments section, and we will talk to you later.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.